Welcome to the next episode of the Believer podcast. I'm here with Alyssa today. I want you to just kind of introduce yourself, talk about your journey from when you were younger and now and kind of what your story's been.
Okay, yeah. Well, my name's Alyssa. I am from Houston, Texas. Raised in Houston, born in California, but really a Texan, really. So I don't really claim that too much. But yeah, I grew up as an only child. I was in private school until middle school, and then I made the switch to public schools throughout high school, and then always brought up in the church, but I think it's different to have your own relationship with the Lord versus just, going with mom or going with dad growing up. And then, yeah, I went to college and played softball at Mercer, which is where I met you. And I honestly found my faith at Mercer. So, we can get into that at some point, but that took a few years to say the least. But I did find it there, and currently I'm at Abilene Christian University in Abilene, Texas, and I'm getting my master's in speech pathology, and I'll be done in May of 27. So I have about a year left, and then I'll be done. But um, it's been great. I think that the Lord has definitely been in each and every room, in each and every season and step that He's brought me along the way. I don't think any time in my life has been wasted. And I think, with me being able even to be at ACU is a testimony of its own. Just to be able to experience a different kind of environment than Mercer was. But yeah, that's a little bit, it's a little snapshot, but
What would you say to people that are kind of like struggling with their faith or trying to figure that part out and trying going through that journey?
um, I mean, I would say don't overthink it. I feel like a lot of times we can get so caught up in the legalism part side of things of like, I have to pray for 5 hours a day. I need to read 50,000 chapters and all these things. And that's not true at all. All it takes is a simple seed, and then the Lord is the one who makes that flourish. And that can be one verse, that could be a simple conversation or whatever it may be. So I just say start somewhere and don't be too hard on yourself, because I think as long as your heart's in the right place and you're making that active and proactive decision every day to choose the Lord and things of the Lord, I think that he'll honor that and that obedience, and he sees that. So.
And I know you talked about you were an only child. I'm an only child too. What was it
Oh.
like growing up being an only child?
Oh gosh. Well, I feel like I think about it quite often now, just seeing how it's played out in my life over the years. When I was younger, it was fine. I mean, I was in all of the things. I was in dance, I was in softball, I was in taekwondo, I was going to summer camps, like I was doing all the things. So I was definitely busy. And I think I found a lot of that. I just found friends, honestly. Like I would stay at the night at friends' houses all the time, or they'd stay at mine. And um, so it wasn't bad growing up. It wasn't bad, but I do think as I got older, I kind of had that tug for more, and older as in like maybe high school and stuff like that. So like instead of, I still had friends, but that tug for more, which should have been filled with Jesus, I feel like was filled with more like companionship, like that search for companionship, whether it be relationships or things like that. And so I feel like that it played out in those kind of ways to where I feel like I was overcompensating a lot, trying to fill a hole that only God could fill. And so I feel like that's something that I've realized as I've gotten older. That's like, dang, girl, you need to sit down somewhere, because of like you just was out here lonely for real, and really the Lord was the only person that could really fulfill that the
Yeah.
desire. So that's how it was for me. But how was it for you?
Yeah, I'd say growing up is kind of the same. Always going to hang out with friends, being at friends' houses, and going to camps and doing summer camps and things like that. I feel like, sometimes you think about it was kind of lonely at times, but at the end of the day, you always had your friends that you made and things like that. But I think growing up, it's kind of like, dang. Sometimes I could lean back and like, well, I wish I did have someone that was always there to talk to and things like that and bounce
Mhm.
ideas off of. But I feel like it's been fun. It's been able to make me more self sufficient and figure out
Yeah.
different ideas and things on my own and talk with my friends and talk with my fiance and things like that. So
Mhm.
it's been a cool thing to grow up and learn with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It definitely has its pros and cons. I feel like we get a bad rep because they're like, oh, they're all so spoiled and entitled. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like a lot of people honestly tell me, they'll be like, what? You're only child? Like I would have not picked that up. Like, what is that supposed to mean?
You
Like,
know,
but
you're lucky. Everyone says, "Oh, yeah, of course you're an only child to
uh
me."
I'm sure I have my moments, I will say that. But I think overall, I think my parents did a fantastic job of
I
keeping me
definitely,
grounded and things like that. So
I
can't
definitely
complain.
agree. Facts. And then so like, so I know we went to Mercer together. What was your experience at Mercer like?
Well, depends on what half you're talking about. I mean, I had a great experience overall. Athletics wise, I had a really good experience. I was I would say a 3-year starter. I didn't start my freshman year, but I did start sophomore, junior, and senior year. So softball was always great. I think things worked out in my favor. I think I saw the Lord's grace over that too, just because sometimes it was a little iffy. I'm like, oh, am I playing? I'm not. I don't know, but you know, to each its own. It was great. I think coming in freshman year, obviously, it's that first time that you're away from home, and so I think that had its own trials and tribulations, I guess, of just trying to figure things out for myself. And sophomore year, same thing. I think junior year is really where there was a switch and a shift for me. I think I found myself in a place, it was like December, so like Christmas break before the spring of my junior year. And I found myself in a place and I was just like sitting with the Lord. I think I was tired. I was probably a little heartbroken too. I don't know, child. I was just going through it. And I was like, the Lord sat me down and I just really got to thinking over like all the things that I was doing and overcompensating, trying to fill this void and all this stuff. And I was like, man, like God, I'm tired. Like I'm through. Like I need you. You know, it's like I said, I grew up in the church, but I didn't truly have that relationship with Jesus that would translate into my actions and the ways that I thought and my heart posture. And so I found myself with a come to Jesus moment, and I really just was like I want you, Lord, and that's kind of what happened. And my prayer shifted in a sense where I wanted community and people around me that were going to um, be pivotal to my spiritual life and stuff like that. So and that's exactly what the Lord did. Even as small as Mercer is, like he moved miraculously in that spring semester, and what started with a group of 3 ended up being 20, 30, 40 people, like meeting together for Bible studies or going to the on-campus ministry Agape, which was on Mondays. And we still have this big friend group to this day. So it changed me for the better, and just being surrounded by those people early on in that true spiritual journey, I think really grounded me and helped me to grow and not be so wishy-washy in and out, not lukewarm, I guess is what we would call it. And so from then on, that was that year. Senior year came and I had a great softball last season. And I just continued to grow with friends around me. So it was a great experience. I think it ended better than it started, and but even the first 2 years were learning curve, so it was good.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I know you play softball. So what would you kind of tell the youth that are growing up in softball trying to become a D1 athlete and things like that? What would you tell them kind of do or kind of look out for and things like that?
Keep working. I mean, I think there's work always to be done. It doesn't stop. I coached for a year, and I feel like that was eye-opening because you get to see things that you don't see as a player when you coach. And I think that it really is, coaches always say, like, I can't want it more than you. I can't want it more than you. They always just say that, playing was like, okay, like, whatever, like, but like, no, genuinely. And I feel like I saw that firsthand when it's like, we cannot want it more you because I can't touch the ball anymore. I can't swing the bat no more. I can't get in the box for you. So I think it's keep working and that there's work always to be done. Even when you get to, when you get the scholarship or you make the varsity team or you're starting or whatever the case is, like you have to keep wanting to get better and practice your weaknesses. Don't just practice your strengths because what are people going to do? They're going to come after your weaknesses, just like the enemy does, right? So, hey, like I'm just going to say, keep working at it and don't stop, even when you get to where you want to be, because the race is a long one in life and it's a long one athletically as well.
I agree. No, I agree with the coaching. I've been coaching the past 2 years at my old
Mhm.
high school, and it's like you can really tell. It's like some people really care and really want to be in it, and some people you can tell, they're just here because they want to be on the team and say I played basketball in high school and things like that. So
Right.
you definitely can see that. And then, so what is a time in your life where you felt like you were struggling or going through something, and then how did you get through that?
Um, I would say my honestly my transition to ACU was a little rocky because it was the first time, it was after I graduated, and I feel like it was the first time that I was not surrounded by all these friends that I made and the community that I had back at Mercer. And, I'm the only one from Texas, so I'm going back across the country where I came from and am out here in this new city that is 5.5 hours away from Houston and didn't know anybody. I was a coach. So I felt like there was kind of like a line of like, I don't know, I just feel like naturally you don't want to, like I'm not gonna go hang out with these undergrad children. They're like 18, and I'm like a whole coach out here. So I feel like that was a little bit of a learning curve too, because I did want community, but if I go to a young adults thing, I'm probably gonna run into, some at like a younger athlete or whatever, which is fine, but like I don't know, I didn't want to blur those lines. So I feel like that was a struggle trying to find community and footing in that. I also was going through a breakup, I think, in the fall that first year. So, and that was a struggle of its own. But the Lord used that, and I think people call it like a canon event. It's like a canon event, like a good one though, and it really kind of jump started a journey that wouldn't have started until last summer, honestly. And I had that same come to Jesus moment pretty much that I had that December before um, at Mercer. And just again and again, he's just been providing. And I found a small group and I met like some amazing friends, and like community friends. And now I have a wonderful boyfriend who is just so amazing. And so it's just the Lord's favor has been on it, but I definitely struggled a little bit. I think getting back to feeling like lonely and um, just on my own, honestly. I felt like I was on an island and nobody was there. Nobody saw me, heard me, anything like that. And I felt like I didn't have anybody to go to about it. So that was a struggle for sure. But
No, I can definitely imagine doing that and moving to
mm,
different places. I understand that when I went to Western, I knew like two players over there, but I didn't really know what the situation was going to be, and I was hurt still, so I was like just embracing
mhm.
the embracing the unknown is what.
Right, right. How was that going from Mercer to Western?
It was interesting. I was trying to find the right situation that would understand like kind of my injuries and everything and like be
Hmm.
patient with me, and they ended up being the best people for that. But coming back to Mercer was an interesting thing to do. It got
Oh
moved
wait,
by.
so you went to Mercer, the Western, and back to Mercer?
No, no, no. We played when we played at Mercer my
Okay.
grad year. It was
Okay.
interesting. It was interesting to
Yeah.
come back
Yeah.
and be there. And I wasn't really truly healthy then. So just being on the
Hmm.
court again in front of people I knew and some people that knew I was there. It was an interesting experience, but the donors and stuff are amazing at Mercer. I would say they
They are. Yeah.
great people, but interesting experience. I will say that, and just
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily end on the best terms with our coaches at Mercer. So
Mm,
it was fun, kind of to when they played at our place to be able to be healthy again and talk smack to them. It was
hmm
fun. It was
Yeah.
fun.
I
They get some
got you.
give back.
Yeah.
But what does kind of the speech language pathology mean to you? Because I believe that's what your master's is
Yes.
in.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Speech language pathology. It's it's a very rewarding career. I didn't know that I wanted to do that coming out of Mercer. It was really a decision that I was like, we'll see. And then, the Lord opened the door for me to be able to go to ACU and coach and do that too. But it's um it's a very like a lot of people think, oh yeah, like it's just for like kids that can't say their R's or, can't pronounce this or whatever, but it's so much bigger than that. It is that, but then it's also, maybe like late speakers, like kids that don't speak or like a lot of like autism, um, can be like some behavioral things like that, but also like NICU babies, babies that are born early. We help with like feeding, um, as well as in the older population, feeding, swallowing as well, cognition, um, language, like just it's a whole thing. But I think at the end of the day, I would chop it up to say it is a career that I feel like helps people gain their voices back or um, gives a voice to people in whatever way, however they communicate. So that could be by mouth, that could be like a AAC device, which is like an iPad that has all these icons you can tap, and or kids that can't pronounce things correctly, so you don't understand what they're saying. But I think it's a great one. I really am loving it, and I can see the ministry in it. Especially now, I'm working at a nursing home is my clinical placement. And so it's my first rotation with older people, but I've realized just how precious they are. Like they are truly so precious, and they honestly, most of them just want somebody to talk to and somebody to empathize with them and understand them and make them feel heard and seen and loved. And so it's been a great few weeks to be a part of their journey. Um, I think it's very full circle for me because I feel like I was naturally a person I felt looked over before, like, looked past. And so like being able to be that person for them, even at their older age, 75, 80, whatever, like it's never too late to be that person for somebody. Like, and so it's been nice.
That's good. And then what would you tell your younger self if you could go back?
Mm, I would say, I feel like I would say like trust in the Lord, like he sees you. Like you don't have to overcompensate. You don't have to do too much. Like be still. I feel like that's what the Lord has been downloading on my spirit now, and just be still and know that he is God and that he's going to work it out, and he works out all things. It's just in his timing. And so I would just say be still. Just let him work. Let him cook for real.
Facts. Facts. And then what is a moment you're most proud of?
Mm, I would say, I mean, I'm honestly proud of the way that it's like I can't pinpoint to one specific moment, but I think in my life in general, I feel like I've had to figure a lot of things out by myself. And that's not to say fault to anybody, to parents or family members or friends or whatever, but I feel like I had to figure a lot of things out by myself naturally. And so I'm proud of the way that I've handled that and still handled that with grace and with the compassion and gratitude that like it's not their fault, and that's okay. So I would say that that answers it.
No, that does. That's perfect. And then what does believer mean to you?
Believer. I feel like believer is, obviously it points to faith. And I feel like in this season, the Lord has been working on my faith. Just when it comes to future planning and all these things, I'm sure you understand. You're engaged, and, you know, I know you and Eliza probably are planning a whole bunch of stuff. So, I think faith in God's timing. So, just going back to be still, I just feel like that's just where I'm at right now. So I don't want to sound like a broken record, but honestly, like that's just what it is. So believer is faith, but faith in the unseen, not
Hmm.
just the things that I see and not just my own logic or my own understanding, but in God's timing and checking his track record and knowing like he's done miraculous things in my life before. He's opened doors that I didn't even think were possibilities. So, um, why would he stop now? So I think it's just patience and timing and just being still in your faith.
No, I agree. I agree. And then so each time someone comes on a podcast, they leave a question for the next person. The
Mhm.
last person left. What is your favorite quote?
Hmm. Um, my favorite quote.
Hmm.
I'm not a big quote girl, but I will say, "The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not want." It's a verse, but I would say that just kind of, I shall not want anything. I want what He wants for me, and if He don't want it for me, then I don't want it. You
Facts.
know. So yeah.
And then what is something you would want to leave for the next person?
Um, who is God to you?
That's a good one. And then I'm gonna ask you to answer that also.
Okay. God is. I don't know if you've ever heard the story of Abraham and Sarah and Hagar. But when God promised Abraham many, many descendants, children or whatever, and they weren't seeing it happen, and not Hagar, Sarah was old. And so Sarah was like, "You can go sleep with my maidservant, Hagar." And Abraham did, and they ended up having a child, Ishmael. But that was outside of God's will for them because God gave Abraham a promise. And Hagar ended up, Sarah was jealous. Hagar was taunting her, and Sarah was like, "You need to go." So she sends Hagar out with Ishmael, and Hagar is out there all alone with this child. And she calls on the Lord and gives him a name that nobody else had given him yet in the Bible, and that is El Roy, which is the God who sees. So that's who the Lord has been for me because even when I've felt unseen, whether it be by coaches or friends or family or whatever, He's always been the person that has been there for me and saw me even in my darkest places or even when I wasn't checking for him, he was still seeing me. Like he kept me through my entire life. So that's who the Lord has been for me in my life. It's Elroy.
Okay. And then that's all I had. I would like to open up to kind of any questions you have or anything you would like to talk about.
Who is God to you?
He's someone that you just got to trust at all times. I kind of have always lived through everything happens for a reason, and I know he has a reason for everything, whether all the injuries I've had, things I've gone through, I know there's a reason for everything, and there's a reason
Hmm.
for every decision that I make or everything that happens. So that's kind of just always being able to trust in him and knowing that, there's a reason for whatever's going on, and no matter what, he's going to keep guiding me kind of through whatever's going to happen. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. It's just not worrying that you're messing up or you're doing something wrong, but just that there's a plan. I don't know the plan, but just to keep going
Hmm.
and keep trying to be the best person I can be each day.
Yep. That's real. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, thanks for answering that.
Of course.
Hmm. I don't think I have any more questions, but if you have any more or anything comes to mind, you can let me know. But yeah,
Of course, no. I appreciate you for coming on the podcast. I have created like a Believer Fridays. Is where every Friday kind of people just talk about how their week went. You can interact with people. You can just put how your week went. If you wanted to be a part of that, I can send you the link for it to group me. Trying to
yeah,
just
yeah.
build more safe spaces for people and just to talk and tell their stories or say how they're feeling. Feel like they have some type of community of random people to help, so there's no judge on anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, yeah. Send it to me. That'd be great.
Bet we'll do. Well, I
Hmm.
appreciate you, and I hope school goes well. Hope you find
Thanks.
the career that you want, and everything keeps going good for you.
Thank you. Praying for
Of
you and
course.
Eliza in y'all's next season of life.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Uh,
All right. Well, have a great rest of your day.
you too. Bye.
Bye bye.